Welcome everyone. Happy what are we, Thursday? Uh, my name is Dean Serwin. I'm the chair of the new wellness section here at the Beverly Hills Bar. As many of you may know, we have a competency requirement for our CLE, and we need 2 hours of that. Wellness is now an optional choice for that. So welcome to have you here. I'm really excited about this program myself because I've known Philip now for going on 6 years, and it's exciting to have him here. So before we get into that, let's do a little housekeeping. So as I mentioned, there is the competence requirement, those special things, ethics, competence, et cetera, that we need for our MCLE. And those of us in the group 3, we're due up, I forget if it's March 1st or March 31st. They made a change this year. That's what these programs are about, but these programs are also about just providing us with useful information, and I think many of them are fun. That's the thing I love about this. As you all know, around this time of year, we get bombarded with those emails to get your 25 hours all for $79.99, and the stuff they send you is pretty much usually old, boring, poorly created. BHBA, we have 1 to 3 programs a day for your MCLE. If there's a new case that comes down, a new ruling that comes down, a new law that's passed that's important, we're going to have a program up on it, usually within a week. So watch this space. Also, this program is being recorded and will be in the BHBA On Demand program, which is, if you've not looked at it before, it's kind of like YouTube for MCLE programs, where everything is there, at least for a year, some of them a little longer, but you can go back, rewatch this program, send your friends to watch this program, go and look for other programs. I need my ethics credit. I'll be going in there looking for a good ethics program to watch. And then when you do watch these programs, either live or through the on-demand, it'll be logged in your own personal locker when it comes time to do the MCLE compliance. It's a couple of clicks and you're done. It's a fantastic system. I'm very proud of the BHBA for having it. And as many of you know, we're now open. We can provide MCLE for every state that requires it. I believe there's still 2 states that don't actually require continuing education. But so if you have friends that are in other jurisdictions, other states, they can come in here and watch our programs. So with that, I'm going to introduce today's program, Introductions for the Human Operating System for Lawyers and Law Firms. And our speaker today, very excited, Philip Folsom, is an anthropologist, U.S. Army veteran, and author recognized as a leader in organizational culture, development, and resiliency. I've got that book on my desk right here, actually. He lectures at USC's Marshall School of Business and serves as president of Wolf Tribe, an international consulting agency providing transformational leadership, cultural development, and executive coaching to organizations including SpaceX, Google, Disney, and Red Bull, where he sits on the high performance board. A dynamic and sought after speaker, Philip is also the co-founder of the Valor Resiliency Program and the K4 School of Men's Work, which is how I know him. And again, thank you for being here, Philip. I'm going to stick around. I'm going to go off camera. I forgot to mention, if you have questions, put them in the Q&A. Also check the chat. There will be the course materials. Your certificate for this program will show up anytime within minutes to a day after. There we go. Suzanne has just posted the link again. And again, if you have any questions, post them in the Q&A and take it away, Philip.
Yes. All right. Dean, you look as cool as, maybe cooler than ever. And everybody else out there in the interweb, it's a pleasure and honor to be here with you this morning, unpacking some things that from an anthropologist are central for our ability to thrive as individuals and organizations. And just a little background on me. I'm also an Army veteran, and my So I've have existed in a high stress, high pressure, competitive culture, and the work that we're going to be doing is addresses the ability to continue on an ongoing basis in high stress, high pressure fields, which is about resiliency, and that's kind of the wellness application of this. But there's also then the success drivers, which are profitability, innovation, competitiveness, efficiency, engagement, retention. These are all things that drive the bottom line of organizations. And the entirety of my career is designed to level up both of those dynamics, our psychology and our success. And so it's this is why I'm on the planet, and it's an absolute pleasure to be here with y'all. I'm gonna, and it's kind of weird not seeing people on here, and my guess is you guys can't see each other. Uh, so I have been on a lot of bad, you know, Zoom webinary things where it's easy to multitask and not engage. So I want to challenge everybody that today's topics are very powerful. They're very old, battle-tested technology, and it will radically transform your engagement, your resiliency with yourself and your team, and also your performance. This is a core uh, theory set around culture. So I want to encourage everybody to take some notes. I have included a, a big packet of information, which is a digital workbook for you to digest and deep dive this topic. But whenever I'm teaching a class, number one, uh, I always encourage people to sit up front in the class because that way you're going to be more engaged. And what I've noticed is the successful students, usually older students in my classes at Marshall, they're the ones that sit up front because they want to get something out of their time. The students that sit in the back, they're there because they have to be. And I know that there's both type of those folks here today. Some of you have to just be here because you have to be. But those of you who actually want to get something out of today, sit in the front of the class, which really means engage with that Q&A. I'm going to try to look at it as often as possible, and then take some notes. This is the big one. We have always created the universe with our words. It's the way we draw order out of chaos because it's experiential and it's kinetic and it's symbolic. So our retention and our integration of information substantially improves when we take some notes. And I'm going to be giving you guys a hay bale kind of master class level of information, and we only have an hour to get through some big topics today. So and there's also going to be a short assessment that we're going to be doing kind of live and interactive, where we're going to be exploring what our identity, our psychology, our role in the pack and the tribe is. So you're going to need a piece of paper for this at the very least. So please rummage around and find a piece of paper that you can draw some stuff on it and take some notes. All right. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be exploring a quadrant-based archetype psychology system that most of you are familiar with in your HR experiences with whatever organizations you've been part of. And it's known as Myers-Briggs, DISC, behavioral styles. There's a lot of different versions of this thing. And that is a well-established map of relationships and understanding psychology and understanding conflict resolution, giving and receiving critical feedback, getting the most out of your people, and also the ability to navigate your personal and professional journey, which is ultimately always about an identity or a belief system or a worldview. So this is a very established methodology around psychology. As an anthropologist, I spent a lot of time traveling the world and working with different cultures, all the way from indigenous to current. And it became clear to me that there was an overlap between the roles of the tribe that is just an undeniable dynamic in anthropology, and then these four quadrants of psychology, Myers-Briggs and DISC. And they happen to be the same dynamic. They're a direct match. So what we're looking at with Myers-Briggs and DISC is actually a kinship system. It's a very old operating system that every indigenous tribe runs. There's four primary roles in every tribe. And then um, Wolf Tribe is my company, and we actually work with a wolf sanctuary out in the desert. And the reason why we use wolves is that they're the source of our cognitive revolution. And this is a big event that happened in humanity about 35,000 years ago when we went from low-level, non-innovative scavenger to apex predator, which was fully innovative. We see advanced uh, weapon systems, we see instruments, we see game pieces, symbolic thought. We see all of these things that are a modern culture expression. And it happened when we started partnering with the wolves. So the wolves happen to have four roles in the pack. They are exactly the same roles in an indigenous tribe. And they are exactly the same roles in contemporary psychology. So it is a direct match, which means that we are continually utilizing this quadrant-based system for our adaptability, our success, our resiliency. So I want to just kind of lay the land that the topic of a psychometric is a much older and much more established adaptability system. All right, the benefits of it, and adaptability is going to be a big thing here. Adaptability, and a lot of you have heard the evolution is survival of the fittest, which is actually not what Darwin said. He actually said evolution is survival of the most adaptable. So when we're looking at long-running vital careers, it has to do with adaptability. When you're looking at long-term sustainable success in organizations, those are the ones that are adaptable. So adaptability is one of the big drivers of why we have such differences within our individuals and our teams and tribes. That's psychological. So adaptability makes us capable of responding to change and challenge. And so that's a very important driver for particularly the rate of change that's happening now. There's also the secondary big benefit of looking at uh, adaptability and specialization is that it makes us competitive. All right. So when we look at every successful sports team, every successful executive team, every successful family, and um, any organization, it is a collection of aligned specialists, right? And take a football team, for example. We have different positions on the field. It's not just a bunch of football players, they are specific specialists. And the reason why specialization is universal in competitive, successful teams is that when you have specialists, they are committed to a particular function, a role, an identity in whatever that team is. So you have your quarterbacks on the football, you have your running back, you've got the line, you've got your kickers, you've got all these specialists, and a an aligned group of specialists will always beat a team of generalists. And we are that. We are specialists. And if you understand what your particular specialization is, then you get to bring more value to every organization, every case that you're on, every project. And we also get to interface more successfully with other specialists if we understand how the rules of engagement work. So this workshop is going to unpack a lot of those things. and it will improve your resiliency. It will improve your sense of belonging, your engagement, your retention, and also the value and impact that you and your team can provide to your clients and the world and each other. All right. So let's pull it up and get rocking on this. Okay. Um, this is a picture of a executive team out at the Wolf Sanctuary, and this is kind of the model of humans and wolves working together. And I'm referring to these quadrants as archetypes. An archetype is it's an iconic, ancient, timeless thing that represents a particular role. So these archetypes are the different roles that you have in your families and your work teams, and understanding how these four different roles function together provides the map for your relationships, your belonging, and establishing kinship with your people. It's also the engine of specialized competitiveness and drives adaptability. And just because I wanted to hit this a couple times for you guys, an aligned team of specialists will always beat a team of generalists. So understand what your value is, understand what the value of your people are, and you will get the most out of them. Now, there is also a pop out real quick here so people can see me. There's a cost to specialization, right? If you spent your whole life learning how to throw that weird shaped ball and you're the quarterback and you're very good at that, there was a cost to that specialization. And it was you didn't spend a lot of time kicking and running and blocking and doing all the other things. So we need to be in an aligned team that is complementary. We require other specialists to be able to make up for the things that are our Achilles heel. And this is one of those important tribal dynamics that lone wolf dynamic of just me against the world means that you are forced to become a generalist. You have to become independent, self-reliant, and do all the things in your life. We're not designed for that. We are a communal, collective organism. And so we need to be surrounded by people who are different than us. And is that different focus on priorities and worldview and perspective and cadence and communication style that drives the adaptability of our journey moving forward? All right. And then just to answer, I have there will be some questions when I start unpacking the assessment for you guys. Uh, Nature versus nurture. We all have a nature that we're born with. Some people are much more assertive. Some people are born more peaceful. Some people are born with a desire to connect with other people. And some of us are born with a much cooler and more reserved disposition. So that's our nature, and we're born with a certain dynamic with that. And then the world has its way with us. And and at a young age, usually the formative era of our lives are around age 8, when we start experiencing inadequacy, abandonment, shame. There's a bunch of things that happen when we're young, and it pushes us into a different behavior where we get our needs met. And so that nurture tends to push our identity and our psychology into one of those four different roles, okay? In pack, tribe, and firm. So every big event in our life is going to require us to practice a different behavior. And eventually, those new behaviors, when they're repeated over time, become a new identity. So, this map I'm going to give you of psychology and kinship, you will be moving through this map as your life progresses. All right. If you get promoted, if you become a parent, if a big event happens, then you will see yourself move through this map. So, just wanted to answer that because that's usually one of the regular questions. All right. So we're going to dig in to the assessment. And this is the time where I'd like you to pull out a piece of paper and draw a vertical line right down the middle. And we're going to give you a couple choices here, right? And these choices, when we're doing a formal psychometric run through an HR department, uh, there is oftentimes a sense of how does my organization want me to respond to the questions? Who do they want me to be? And obviously, we can't see each other on this call, so I want to encourage you to be as authentic as possible. And one of the best ways to do that is get out of your prefrontal cortex, your executive function, and get down into your intuition, your truth, your limbic system, your soul, your gut. Like that's kind of a deeper sense of truth, which means don't think about these questions. Uh, Feel what is the authentic truth that you have about things. You'll have a better outcome from this exercise. So, got a line down the middle of your paper. I hope everybody does. And on the right side of your paper, are these three vital, universal aspects of humanity, and they are valuable. This is gold. Peace. It is a universal human pursuit. Safety is something that is vital in every organization. Emotional, physical, professional safety. And then asking questions about people, about process, and these are all universal aspects of human psychology and organizations. So this is your first choice. And then on the left side of the paper are going to be the components to those first three. So power. I acknowledge peace is important, but without a certain measure of power, I can't do anything in my life and my career. I acknowledge safety is important, but if I don't take some risks, nothing changes. And I acknowledge that asking questions is important, but I have a truth, I have a worldview, I have things that need to be expressed, and I will make some statements. So that's your first choice, left or right side of the paper. And I'd like you to please shade in the whole side of the paper that is your truth, right? And if you're split in the middle of these, ask yourself, would I sacrifice my peace for my power? Or would I sacrifice my power for my peace? That's usually a very clear way of getting an answer from this exercise. And that's all the time you should actually need for this, right? So hopefully that everybody has one side of the paper that's shaded in as your go-to psychological personality setting. All right. Now I'd like you to, same piece of paper, draw a horizontal perpendicular line, and we're going to deal with our second aspect of psychology, which is going to have to do with connection. So we're going to deal now with the full bottom of the paper and the full top of the paper. And we're also going to be shading this in. And then our double-sided quadrant is going to be your core psychology. All right. On the full bottom of your piece of paper, right, is going to be the bottom line, right? The bottom line in business is making money. The bottom line in sports is winning games. It's pretty clear. This is results and outcome and impact. It's competence. If you're going back to school, you're getting a degree. If you are attending this workshop, you're getting your certification, right? So this is absolutely vital for every family and work team. Otherwise, you go extinct. So this is your first option. Now, the full top of the paper is going to be about the journey instead of the destination. And we look at business, it's not just about making money, it's also about service to a community. It's taking care of your people. The same thing in sports. It's not just about winning, it's about engagement, morale, celebration, development, and dare I say, fun. That's part of the journey of life as well. So this will be compassion, passion, expression, and the journey. And there's the top half or the bottom half of the paper that you're going to feel as your truth. And I'd like you to shade in either the full top or the full bottom of the piece of paper. And, and where's my Q&A? I'm popping open the chat to see if anybody has any questions. Okay. Now, at this point, you should have, when you look at you two perpendicular lines, there should be um, a, oops, sorry. You should have one of your quadrants that is double shaded in. Okay. That's the one that you chose, either peace or power or competence or passion. And that's going to be your core psychology. Okay. When you're looking at the lay of the land here, the diagonal quadrant, the one that you have neither one of the of your choices shaded in, that is your opposite. It is the one that is the most uncomfortable for you to exist in. And that's the one that represents the person and the people that you partner with the most successfully. So this is going to give you some insights into the people that initially have the most challenges with you and you with them, but they're the ones that are going to complement you the most. And in all of the relationship studies, over 90% of long-term relationships, these are best friends, life partners, co-founders, are in the diagonal. So it gives us a very good glimpse into the specialization complementary aspect of humanity. And as we unpack these four identities, I'm going to start with the folks who are the upper left side of the paper. And I will give you a couple different titles for this group. Obviously, I have sovereign that's written up in this one. This would be the eye of disc, DISC. This would also be known as the expressives in the behavioral styles, psychometric. And these are the people that are focused on vision. A future that does not currently exist. They're usually very outward facing people. They communicate easily and often, and their primary profit driver that their role brings to an organization is innovation. Okay. So there happens to be four big profit drivers that make organizations successful. They would be competitive drivers in sports. And they happen to align with these four different archetypes or roles. So in anthropology, the people that are focused and own the future of the tribe, this may be the parent, right? In a human family or a wolf pack, they would be the alphas. And innovation is applied visioning. So innovation is one of the primary profit drivers of organizations, right? Uh, to be a visionary person, number one, you're very creative and you tend to range far and wide looking for inspiration. So oftentimes, uh, folks like us, we are interested in many, many different things. We want to travel the world, start a nonprofit, write some books, and this can lead us to be distracted. This is our challenge that we're faced with, right? You don't get to be a visionary, innovative, creative person without struggling with a certain amount of diffusion of focus and energy and distraction. And one of the jokes that I heard about this is we are people who can starve to death reading cookbooks. And oftentimes that could be me as well. Uh, we have a stack of books that are halfway finished because we're constantly excited about the next thing. So distraction is our challenge. Okay. To be able to be optimized in terms of our performance, we need to partner with our opposite. These are the people that make up for all the things that we don't do well, and that's going to be the diagonal. And that person is the magician, right? This is known as the analytic. This is the sea of disc. And these are the people who have a very different worldview, approach, cadence, and set of priorities to that innovative sovereign person. So that is known as the shaman, the oracle, the wise man or woman in the tribe, or the magician. It is somebody who is focused not on innovation and vision, but mastery and efficiency. And efficiency is our second profit driver. So um, efficiency makes you money. It has to do with repeated processes that work. It means we generate a successful plan and procedure that makes our organization function efficiently. Okay. Now, those of us who sit in this magician category or the analytic, we face a challenge with our commitment to efficiency and mastery, and that is chaos is uncomfortable for us. And when things become chaotic, whether it's behavior or a chaotic process, we tend to disengage from those people and those processes. So we have a tendency to disengage to the point that we can become isolated ourselves, because that's sometimes the ultimate fallback of control with just ourselves. At which point we find ourselves without a seat at the table, without our voice being engaged to move something forward successfully. So isolation is not good for us, and it's a catastrophe for those visionary, innovative, sovereign, or expressive types. So for these two psychological specialists on the team, there needs to be a compromise in order to be successful together. And whenever we're negotiating something as humans, we really only have three options. One is power, position, tyranny, or we have surrender, acquiesce, the victim story. And those are both very dysfunctional decision-making strategies with different types of people. The only successful route we have forward is compromise. And compromise is one of those things that is challenging because it means that we're giving up something, but what we gain is partnership, collaboration, and the adaptability and power of these different psychologies. So the sacrifice for our upper left type people, a sovereign, is that we have to look at the 10 exciting, passionate projects that we're working on and kill 9 of them. Commit to the one. Choose what your priority is and double down on it. Kill your darlings. And that involves a short-term sacrifice of freedom. But what we get is significance, because not only does that project move forward, but more importantly, it demonstrates a certain amount of commitment and competence and investment that our analytic magicians will be able to work with. And then you get all the horsepower that they bring to the table with plan, process, and procedure. For the magicians, what we have to sacrifice is our need for control. There's going to be processes that are chaotic and innovative and visionary. And there's going to be some variables that happen that are uncomfortable for us. So we have to surrender our short-term control for being able to partner with our visionary folks who are innovating and adapting and moving things forward. And that's really what builds successful kingdoms, is these two things. And this is echoed through all of our shared mythology. The sovereign, this would be King Arthur. He has a vision for equality and a round table, but he's not able to implement that until he pulls Excalibur from the stone. Excalibur is focus, and Merlin built Excalibur for King Arthur. So here we have the sovereign King Arthur, we have our magician Merlin who built Excalibur, and when those two characters, personalities, identities partner together, you have something extraordinary. All right. Got any? Makes sense to everybody, I hope. There's a deeper dive on both of these psychological quadrants or archetypes in the workbook. All right. Oftentimes, when sovereigns are having any sort of meeting or gathering, it will be innovative, it will be brainstormy, it will be fun and high energy. Oftentimes, that's anxiety producing for us magicians who would like an agenda. What are we focused on? When is the meeting over? And this next group, which is our bottom left, these people, we don't want to go to the meeting at all. These are called the warrior class. They're also known as the drivers in behavioral styles, or the D of DISC, dominant or driver. And this is a very different animal. Instead of needing innovation to inspire us or mastery of a perfect plan, we simply need the next right step to take and the ability to take it. We are action oriented. We are decisive. We are the people on the team that are incredibly competitive. And competitiveness is the third profit driver in all organizations. And it's robust. It is a high energy behavior and set of priorities that when we're looking at um, the way that the energy of our firm or our family moves forward, this is the forge of that. This is the engine that keeps things relentlessly moving forward. So there's a drive and a hustle and a passion here that has to do with winning. So decisive action and competitiveness are the big profit drivers here. Oftentimes, this class of people, we have a very strong belief around right and wrong. Like it's clear. We have a little bit of judgment about the way things should be. And if you fall into this category with your assessment, and you reflect back onto group projects in school, you may have been the person who said to your team, "You all do your part and then hand it in to me, and I will hand it in the way that it's supposed to be." So there is a little bit of judgment involved in this behavior. Oftentimes, we can be the enforcer, the regulator, the one to have the hard conversations or give critical feedback to people because we can engage with conflict. So, all of that is powerful and positive. The Achilles heel that we have is that oftentimes that sense of judgment can come off as abrasive, brusque, impatient, and how that degrades our team and ultimately undermines ourselves is that we lead from the front, and it is the exact correct leadership style when you're going to war. All other times, and there are recovery times, there's visioning times, there are many different phases of organizations. Sometimes that one is not successful. And we have to realize that 3/4 of the world is not capable or willing to operate the way that we do. And those people will disengage from us when we become impatient and judgmental. And we can end up lone wolfing ourselves, which means we've just lost the scope and scale and capacity to hunt the big game. At some point, it's going to have to do with how well can we work with other people, because we cannot pull down an elk as a lone wolf. So the challenges of engagement and retention with other people is one of the things that we need other people to help us with. And so this is that second diagonal. Okay. So that second diagonal is our upper right people. Okay. So upper right, lover or the healer in mythology is also known as the supportive or the amiable. And the primary focus of this group of people is the pursuit of belonging. Uh, we are focused on the well being, the connection, the service of other people. Relationships are primary for us. And this speaks into a vast aspect of humanity that our current society is struggling with right now. And this may be a big tie-in for us as it relates to the wellness topic. Uh, the rates of clinical anxiety, depression, addiction are all stemming from a lack of belonging with other people. So this particular quadrant of people that I have seen in high speed organizations is somewhat marginalized. It meaning it's not competitive and it's too soft. So I want to reframe that story for those of you who are in this quadrant. What you bring to the table is engagement with your people. Okay, that's number one. Currently, full engagement is under 17% in America. It's lower than that in the law industry. And if you're running below 17% full engagement, you are hemorrhaging resources, passion, investment, energy, all the things that make us great. So engagement is one of the big profit drivers that comes from this archetype house. Retention. Retention is a primary profit driver. What it costs for you to find and onboard a new person because you have lost them based on a cultural issue is significant. And most of you have heard the term people don't leave leave bad jobs, they leave bad bosses, they leave bad cultures, which means it doesn't feel good. So that engagement and retention conversation is sourced from this particular psychology, this specialist. And then lastly, we have resiliency. Resiliency is the ability to persevere through adversity, and it is a function of belonging. When we are together, when we are aligned, then we have the ability to be almost endlessly resilient. And all of that good stuff comes from this quadrant. Now, there's a cost from this quadrant, and that is oftentimes we will have a tendency to not engage with conflict. We will avoid it. Avoiding conflict is a focus on belonging, and conflict seems to threaten belonging. So oftentimes, those of us who live in this behavior set at this time in our life, we will avoid conflict, which means other people will load us with projects and drama and trauma that um, they're delegating to us, particularly us warrior people who are always on a mission or a war path or pushing a project. And we will tend to go, hey, I need you to carry this rock for me because I'm on a warpath. And oftentimes us lover, healer, supportive types will not say no. We will just accept that burden of personal or professional load. And if we take on too much, then we have a tendency to break. And if those lover, amiable people break, then we have just lost our engagement, retention, and resiliency. And that's a catastrophe for an organization. So this upper right quadrant needs to be able to make some sacrifices to partner with our bottom left quadrant. These people need to partner together because they are complementary. The sacrifice that that lover archetype needs to make is the ability to make and maintain healthy boundaries. Sounds easy. And for those of you in that quadrant, this is not the first time that you've heard, um, I need to engage with conflict and I need to maintain my boundaries. Where the rubber meets the road on this is that when we do, we will potentially not be liked. And that's a very uncomfortable feeling for us. And now I'm going to speak to my warriors. And if you were in the room and I were to ask you the question, how do you feel about temporarily not being liked? And for most of us warrior class people will be like, I'm used to that. That's what competitiveness is. That's what winning entails. Sometimes you will not be liked. So back to us lover folks, that story about not being liked is probably our story. That's our old belief system about belonging, adequacy, abandonment. So we can afford to not be liked short term because we will gain respect long term. And particularly when you're partnering with warrior class people, respect is the operating system and the currency of their psychology. So we need to be able to say no. And when we do that, we will actually have a better relationship with that warrior class complement. Speaking now to us warriors, our sacrifice is that we need to be willing to give up our short term results, our short term wins for a more significant long term impact. We need to be willing to lose an argument to resolve a conflict. We need to be willing to lose a battle to win a war. And it always has to do with other people. When the rubber meets the road, we come down to how well we can partner with people on our team and our clients. And sometimes we need to think strategically, long term, instead of tactically winning all the time. There's some ego story involved in that. All right. So, kind of lay of the land is that these four quadrants are the big drivers of overall adaptability and success. And these are the specialists that are going to bring the best of what they have and their understanding and their priorities to every organization. So I would like to just pause right now for the folks who are engaged in this and uh, have you guys um, drop some things in the Q&A. I'd love to kind of um, get some questions in this before we move on. And Dean, are you on?
I'm here, Philip.
Okay, cool. Q&A. Oh, we got some things in there. Okay. We got any clarifications and questions?
Yes. Stop trying to win every argument. Uh, that's a good one for us lawyers to try.
Yes.
It can be a challenge. You know, I've been working with Philip now for what, June 2020, I think,
Yeah.
was cohort one. And it is interesting to see how each of these quadrants are part of everyone.
Mhm.
That's the concept of K4, King of the Four Houses. Those are the four houses, the lover, magician, warrior, king. And like many lawyers, I tend towards the magician. That's our goal, mastery, and we want to be competent in everything and excel in everything and figure out the best path forward, whether it's writing that brief that's going to convince the judge, or it's writing that contract and making that argument as part of your negotiation for that contract that's going to get you what you need. And the losing the occasional battle to win the war is a really tough concept, um, and one that I've worked with a lot. Let's see if we got some questions here. Um, so what's Jay got here? I feel like I change roles to adapt rather than occupy one quadrant. Can that help? If not, how should it be addressed? I think that's sort of what I was talking about. You know,
Yeah. Yeah. So the best leaders are adaptable leaders. And one of the explanations of this is when we look at the golden rule, it means that we're treating everybody the same, which means you're treating them like a generalist. And if we had every viewer here in the room and I were to treat everybody with the golden rule, I'm going to assume that you are all like me and want the same cadence, the same temperature, the same, process. And the reality is, three-quarters of you won't. You want something that's slightly different than what I want. So the platinum rule, which is the bump up from the golden rule, is to treat people the way they need to be treated, whether that's your coworkers or your clients, and you get more from them. So adaptability is the application of this map or framework. It allows you to intentionally navigate relationships. And the next two things I want to share with you are the actionable pieces. But um, before I get to that, I just wanted to see if there was any kind of Q&A about childhood stuff or development or anything else that people always have questions about. So,
we've got something. How can we tell how others are driven and where they fit in,
oh,
especially in a remote environment? So how do you
that's so
recognize
great.
what house someone's in?
Great.
I believe
Okay.
is what's being asked there from
Okay,
Michaela.
so this is a very good one. You don't need to remember my prompts or the 150 questions of DISC or Myers-Briggs to know who people are. The moment you stand next to someone or you have a conversation with them, you know two things automatically and with a great level of clarity about these people. Number one, you know if they're ambitious or safe. This is the left and the right on your piece of paper. Ambitious people, that's going to be either a sovereign or a warrior, right? That's a driver or an expressive. Those are ambitious people. If you are talking to that person and you feel safe, you know that they are either that amiable lover, supportive, or the analytical magician. Those are people who are safe. So that gives you your first um, diagnostic. The second thing you know about every human that you work with, even someone at a bank line or in an airport, you know if they're warm or they're cool. You know what warm people are. You want to share more with them. You want to have a coffee with them. You want to prolong the conversation a little bit. And then the cool people, you know that you can feel competence. You need to be a little more professional. And all of you know this. You know ambition or safe, you know cool and warm. You have done a very good psychometric if you simply look at those two uh, truths that you can feel intuitively, instinctively from people. You understand what their quadrants are. At that point, once you have an idea about what role or identity or psychology they have, now if you're a quarterback, you can open your playbook and go, this is how I'm going to get the best experience from this relationship. And so here's the unpacking of this. And we got 5 minutes left. Okay, and this is a deep dive into a lot of things, but I want to give you two important ones. Giving and receiving critical feedback. This has to do with your coworkers and your clients and everybody in your family. The ability to give them critical feedback is adaptability. This is how we grow and we develop and move. And each one of these four roles has a different requirement that needs to be in place for them to hear that feedback so that it's not interpreted as shame or an attack. It's interpreted as accountability and an investment in them. So let's go backwards. For the supportive, amiable lover class, you need to lead with relationships. Um, and that doesn't mean you need to give a cheesy praise sandwich, but you do have to go in with some appreciation, be mindful of tone, a little bit of compassion, and then you can give them that critical feedback. And if you follow up with a reiteration of the relationship, then they can hear it and they can digest it and integrate that. Very different than working with that driver warrior class and giving them critical feedback. If you lead with relationships and praise before you give that what you want to tell them, you have just lost respect because you didn't have the ability to give it to them straight and honest and direct. So when we're looking at people who are ambitious and cool, you want to give them the information clean and straight, and it's based on their results. They're going to be more powerful if they hear it. They don't need to hear it later when things are comfortable and it's the right time. They need to hear it now. So, in terms of the delivery vehicle and the cadence, we give our warriors clear, direct feedback immediately. With the lovers, we want to be mindful of the environment, the tone we're delivering, and the relationships. Say, now, going the opposite direction, when you're giving magicians critical feedback, don't come light. There should be some examples of behavior. There should be some historical precedent. There should be some information involved and a potential plan that is given that that person has the ability to digest at their own time. And then they can hear it. Does that make sense, Dean?
Yes,
Okay.
exactly.
And then back up to our sovereign or the expressive quadrant. These visionary, outward facing people are there to change the world. And because of that, there's some egos involved with us. We have some big egos. And if that critical feedback is directed at your ego, you're going to receive a counterattack. So you want to bypass the ego and talk right to the visionary end game ability to make a dent in the universe. And we can hear that. So giving critical feedback to your people successfully is an application of this map or this framework. Okay. Um, Selling. This is the last one I want to wrap up with. And yes, this is business, but we're always selling to each other. We're selling ideas, uh, a proposed route forward, um, whatever it is. We're constantly selling to each other. That's the marketplace of the world. And so the way that you pitch an idea to a person is very dependent upon this map. It's a great utilization of that. So if you know that somebody is ambitious and warm and they're that visionary, outward facing, uh, innovative person, testimonials. Who's cool that's doing it? And that it should be exciting, high paced, and big energy and visionary. That's the it inspires us and it's aspirational. That's the way you sell an idea to a sovereign people. Very different than when you're selling to a magician analytic, is that again, historical precedent, metrics, have information that absolutely makes it grounded into the right thing to do. When you're selling a concept, an idea, an engagement to warrior class people, it's going to be about results. And it's going to be short term and as immediate as possible. And again, when you're selling a concept to a supportive, amiable person, this is that lead with relationship first. Ask personal questions, build rapport, know, like, and trust. They're going to partner with people that they have a relationship with. So it's a very different strategy that gets you better results as you're working with these different specialists in your family and your firm. All right, let me pop on the Q&A to see if there's anything that. Dun, dun, dun,
I'm
dun,
not
dun.
sure what Pamela's asking. I've been consistently just in the middle of thinking, feeling slight perf for F. Don't know exactly what that means. And judging perceptive, slight. Oh, I see. Feeling
Oh,
judgment.
she's doing Myers-Briggs.
Yeah. She's going
Or
into the
disc. Maybe
weeds.
she's doing disc.
Got a magician there.
Oh, okay. It's a great topic. Pamela, thank you. Um, we all have all four of these identities in us. And I probably should have led with that. So, if anybody studied psychology or Jungian parts work, um, we look at our psychology as a collection of identities within us, and everybody wants to change the world and has vision for the future. That's universal. We all want belonging and relationships and intimacy and community. We all want to be right and understand and have mastery, and we all want to win and be competitive and successful. So we have all of these within us, but our personal history and oftentimes our nature is that there's one of those identities that is louder than the others, and it gets more resources, and that becomes our identity in the world, and it does change over time. When I'm utilizing this, I like the nuance of everybody has a primary thing that they are, and everybody has a very strong secondary. So um, that's the cusp. And when you look at the hybrid of those two things, you can see examples of that hybrid all the time. When you look at somebody who is a warrior, but is also very compassionate and focused on the service of people, well, that character has existed in mythology. That's the paladin. That's the, that virtuous warrior who's wanting to protect people. And in many ways, you can almost look at that kind of King Arthur story, um, you know, of that warrior, sorry, the magician king. That's we're all hybrids, and I think that's what we're referring to with the cusp. Okay, so
Yeah,
hopefully that kind of unpacked a little bit of that.
one of the things that people do is set goals. And one of the traits that Philip instilled in me from working with him in K4 was setting a goal in each of these archetypes quarterly. And the way that I interpret what that goal means for each archetype from quarter to quarter shifts. And I think that shifts by my interpretation of which one is my primary at that point in time. So, a lot of people look at the warrior goal as I'm going to set a goal for physical, like weight loss,
Hmm.
exercise, things like that. But at the end of the day,
Hmm.
it's about decisive. So one quarter, my warrior goal was to say no, because it takes
Um,
decisive action to say no, and that's something I lack often. So
uh,
it is a great opportunity to look at these, decide which one is your primary, but then also to look for the diagonal, and then look for ways that you can enhance your expression in the other houses, the other archetypes, so that you can as Philip, many of you may notice, Philip said I and we every time he talked about each archetype, acknowledging the fact that we are all four. And it's our opportunity to express which one is dominant at the moment, that and our ability to recognize which one is dominant in someone else at the moment, that is going to lead to the ability to succeed and to rally your team, because that's what we're here talking about is how do you, it's not being a generalist, it's recognizing what specialty is important. I don't know if I'm putting words in your mouth, Philip, but for me, that's the way I've interpreted it. That's why I look to Philip for guidance so often. Is that this is a great refresher for me, and I encourage you all to go and look at the materials, read through them, seek out Philip's. Phil, hold up your book again. I know we're not pitching, but this is a
Yeah.
great book because what it really does, aside from the exercise that's in there for each week, it gives a refresher or a tutorial, if you've not seen it before, on all of these concepts and how to apply them to building that team and to succeeding for yourself within that team and your team succeeding as a whole. And with that, I'm going to thank.
Hey,
Go ahead.
one last closing piece on this, um, because this is this falls under the wellness piece, right? A holistic wellness of your life is all four of these houses: uh, future, fitness, finances, family. You have we develop gratitude because there's something to be grateful about, and we can also develop each one of those four things. Those are the four houses. Sovereign is future, warrior is fitness, magician is finances, or maybe faith, and then lover is family. That is the holistic and sustainable and adaptable um, full spectrum life. So, Dean, I
Thank
love you,
you,
man.
Philip.
It was
Yeah,
and everybody
fantastic.
else out there, thank you for your time, and may this transform your family and your firm.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Philip. With that, we've got a few thank yous in the Q&A. I hope everyone has a fantastic day. Again, this program will pop up within about 24 hours in the BHP On Demand. Go back,
Ooh,
rewatch it, send your friends and family and coworkers, and good luck, everybody.
yeah. Godspeed.